What if the most explosive rejection in Meghan Markle's Hollywood journey came down to just 4 words? 4 words that allegedly stopped a Netflix project cold and left Prince Harry caught between his wife and the memory of his mother. Because according to reports circulating around royal circles, Meghan Markle reportedly pitched herself as the spiritual guide to a documentary centered on Princess Diana. And when Princess Diana's brother, Charles Spencer, allegedly read that description, his response was chilling. Is this a joke? That wasn't just criticism. That was a door slamming shut. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why those 4 words may have changed everything for Harry, Meghan, and the legacy of Princess Diana forever. Because this isn't just about Netflix. It isn't just about royal drama, it's about memory, identity, and who gets to protect Diana's story. Prince Harry has spent his entire life carrying one image in his mind, a coffin, a crowd. And cameras watching every step as a 12-year-old boy walked behind his mother for the entire world to see. That moment defined him. And for decades, Diana's memory has remained more than history. To millions, she became something emotional, almost sacred. But to Charles Spencer, she was his sister, not a symbol, not a brand, not content for a streaming platform. And that distinction matters more than ever right now. Because Diana does not rest inside a palace vault. She rests on a private island at Althorpe Estate, surrounded by trees she loved, protected by the family that knew her before royalty consumed her life. And for over 30 years, Charles Spencer has acted as the guardian of that legacy. Quietly, carefully, rarely speaking publicly unless he believes something truly crossed the line. Which is why this alleged Netflix proposal hit differently. According to royal insiders, the project reportedly aimed to draw direct comparisons between Meghan Markle's experiences and Princess Diana's struggles with the royal institution and the media. But it wasn't just the comparison that shocked people. It was the wording, spiritual guide. Think about that for a second. Not contributor, not narrator, not advocate, spiritual guide to Diana's story. And that's where everything changed. Because from Spencer's perspective, this allegedly didn't feel like a tribute. It felt like replacement. Like someone stepping into Diana's emotional space and trying to inherit not just her legacy, but her suffering. And for a man who watched his sister endure years of media pressure, emotional isolation, and public scrutiny, the reaction was immediate. Is this a joke? 4 words. But behind them? 30 years of protection. Now here's where this gets even more complicated, because for years, royal watchers have noticed similarities between Meghan's public image and Diana's. The fashion choices, the emotional interviews, the themes of isolation, the language surrounding media treatment and institutional pressure. To supporters, those similarities made sense. After all, Meghan married Diana's son. Comparisons were inevitable. But critics saw something else entirely. They believed Meghan wasn't just honoring Diana. She was positioning herself inside Diana's narrative, and according to reports, Charles Spencer had been quietly watching that happen for years. Not publicly attacking, not giving interviews, just watching until now. And here's the part nobody talks about enough. If Buckingham Palace had blocked the documentary, it would created a global firestorm. People would accuse the monarchy of censorship, of silencing uncomfortable truths, of protecting the institution. But Charles Spencer rejected. That changes the optics completely. Because Diana's own brother defending her legacy feels different. It doesn't look political. It looks personal. And that may be exactly why this situation became impossible for Harry. Because suddenly this wasn't Harry versus the palace anymore. This became Harry standing between 2 worlds, his wife and his mother's family. And for the first time, those worlds appear to be moving in opposite directions. Reports suggest Prince William was aware of concerns surrounding the proposal and remained in contact with Spencer during the discussions. If true, that's a major detail. Because William didn't need to publicly criticize Meghan. He didn't need to issue statements. He didn't need another royal feud dominating headlines. By allowing Spencer to take the lead, the protection of Diana's legacy came from family instead of the institution. And that left Harry trapped. Because how do you fight your mother's brother defending your mother's memory? You can't. Not without creating a public relations disaster. And deep down, Harry likely understands that better than anyone. Because unlike the rest of the world, Harry doesn't just remember Diana as a global icon. He remembers her as mum, which is why this story hits so much harder emotionally. People often forget something important about Harry. His entire adult life has been shaped by unresolved grief. The loss of Diana wasn't just a tragedy, it became the emotional center of his worldview. It influenced how he sees the media, how he sees the monarchy, how he sees betrayal, how he sees protection. And when Meghan entered his life, many observers believed Harry saw echoes of his mother and her struggles. That connection became powerful, emotional, protective. But critics now argue that connection may also have become strategic, because Diana's image carries enormous emotional weight globally. And in Hollywood, emotional narratives are currency. The Sussex brand was reportedly struggling to maintain momentum after major setbacks. Spotify ended, projects stalled, public perception became increasingly divided, and Netflix needed something big. Something emotional, something iconic. Princess Diana's 30th anniversary presented exactly that opportunity. But according to reports, Charles Spencer saw the proposal not as remembrance, but commercialization. And that may explain why his response was so sharp, because Spencer has lived through this before. He watched Diana's vulnerability become headlines. He watched networks profit from her pain. He watched private suffering become public spectacle. And now, decades later, he allegedly saw another version of the same thing happening again. Only this time, the person connected to it was his nephew's wife. That changes everything emotionally. Because Spencer's reaction wasn't just about Meghan. It was about history repeating itself, and maybe stopping it before it fully began. There's another uncomfortable question hiding underneath all of this. Did Harry recognize what was happening? Did he fully understand how heavily Diana's memory was being woven into the Sussex public image, or was he too emotionally close to see it clearly? That question matters. Because if Harry understood and supported it, critics will say he helped commercialize his mother's legacy. But if he didn't fully realize how far things had gone, then this becomes even sadder. Because it would mean the very grief that shaped his life became the foundation of a brand he no longer controls. And that possibility is devastating. Especially when you consider where this story ends. Althorp, Diana's resting place, private, protected, not by royal titles, not by PR teams, not by streaming executives, by her brother. Charles Spencer made a promise after Diana died. A promise to protect her memory. And whether people agree with him or not, many believe those 4 words proved he still takes that promise seriously. Is this a joke? Not polished, not diplomatic, just raw disbelief, and maybe that's why the moment resonates so strongly online. Because beneath all the headlines and controversy, people sense something deeper. A family line being drawn, a limit finally reached, and Harry now stands in the middle of that divide. Between Hollywood and heritage, between loyalty and memory, between the life he built and the legacy he inherited. Some doors in life can be reopened with apologies, others with power, others with time. But some doors close quietly forever, and according to royal insiders, this may have been one of them. Because Diana's story is still emotionally protected by the people who loved her before the world turned her into an icon. And for Harry, that reality may be harder to face than any tabloid headline ever written. The question now is simple. At what point does protecting Diana's memory become more important than protecting the brand built around it? That's the question hanging over everything. And it may be the one Harry himself eventually has to answer. Because long after the interviews fade, long after the Netflix deals expire, long after public opinion shifts again, Diana's island at Althorp will remain exactly what it has always been. Quiet, private, protected, the way her brother intended. And maybe that's the most powerful statement of all. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe now and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Charles Spencer was right to allegedly shut this down, or do you think Meghan was unfairly criticized? Because this story is far from over, and the next chapter may already be unfolding.